Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Conversations with Certrec. With me today, I have Evan Teacock, Steve Dixon, and David McNeil, and we're here to discuss PRC-005. As you may know, there were a couple of recently issued violations, so we are here to discuss what they were and how you can avoid them. Let's have a conversation. All right, guys, thanks to you for joining Conversations with Certrec. We're, of course, going to discuss PRC-005 here. So the first question we have is, what exactly is PRC-005 and why is it so important to the reliability of the bulk electric system?
PRC-005 is important to the bulk electric system from the standpoint of that it is actually testing the battery systems, protective relays, control circuitry, sudden pressure type relays, which all of these are necessary to ensure that if there is an issue with the generators systems, that it actually will disconnect when needed.
Recently, we all know that there were two facilities that did have PRC violations, PRC-005 specifically violations. So let's talk about the first facility that we've all discussed. How many violations did they have? What did those look like? Can you share a little bit of information about those violations?
Yeah, for the first facility, there were 215 violations from a period of 2012 to 2015.
Also, the owner identified some of these missed maintenance activities and going into an audit. And then as part of the audit, there were additional missed activities identified. We always encourage our clients to keep very precise records about their maintenance activities and to track them carefully. And we provide them with tools to do that. It's clear that this client either didn't understand which components needed to be maintained or didn't understand how the maintenance requirements specified in PRC-005 applied to those components. And it was a pretty broad scope failure of their maintenance program.
I think that pretty much closes out the first registered entity that we've been discussing. So let's jump to the second one, because there were two that recently received those PRC-005 violations. So the second registered entity, how many violations are we talking about for that one? And what was the span of those violations? What issues did we see there?
325 were along the lines of making sure that the proper maintenance was done timely. They've missed quite a few items from a standpoint of they did not understand all their components that they had under the purview of PRC-005, and it was lacking within their documents for performing the maintenance.
I think this goes into what we were talking about the very first, was understanding what equipment, understanding very clearly what equipment has to be on the list.
And if you don't have that initial understanding of what really falls, it's really hard to perform maintenance, right? Because you may not be performing maintenance on the right things if you don't have a good list. That's interesting. So we've got a list, we've got drawings, we've got to go in and maintain them as they go on, right? And we've got to make sure we meet all the deadlines for all of that in PRC-005. So, wow, I mean, it is a big one, and obviously that's why it is a big challenge. All right, guys, thank you so much for sharing today all of this wonderful information about PRC-005. Really appreciate you taking the time to enlighten all of us on how important and complex it is. And as always, we look forward to next time.